And so at the bottom of every trial, God is bringing us to that place where we say, Lord, you have a right to rule in my life. Have you ever noticed that when God told Abraham to sacrifice his only son, Isaac, it came at the end of Abraham's life? I think it took a whole lifetime to bring Abraham to that point of, God, you want my son? He saddled up the donkey the next morning, first daylight. God, whatever you want. And I really believe that the bottom line principle behind every trial is, does God have a right to rule sovereignly in your life, and you accept it with joy and no complaints? Is he Lord or not? Does he do what's right or not? And I put there, when your answer becomes a yes, it ends all of the internal conflict and turmoil. You know, we bring a lot of grief upon ourselves. If we would just learn to go with the flow and submit to what God is doing, it would be so much easier. But we resist and we fight and we struggle and we think we know better, and all of that turmoil is what stresses us out. Matthew 11, verse 28, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my what? Take my yoke. And that yoke there is the symbol of submission. He is in control. He turns you to the right, he turns you to the left. He tells you when to go, he tells you when to stop. It's a yoke. And if you will take that yoke and submit to it and surrender to it, he says, you shall find what unto your souls? Rest. Because all of a sudden, all of the struggling and inner anguish of, God, this isn't right, and all of your resistance and struggle in that yoke is gone, and you're finally at peace with God's plan for your life. That's when verse 30 becomes reality. His yoke will be easy when you surrender to it. You know why his yoke is easy when you surrender? Because that's when his strength kicks in. That's when you die, and now it's Christ living in you. And you find a joy and a peace and a strength to endure whatever God places on your life. Because now you're surrendered. Now you've come to the whole purpose of the trial. My yoke is easy and my burden is what? My burden is light when you're surrendered to it. If you're going to kick and fight and complain and struggle, it's going to be heavier than you can imagine. But if you will surrender to the yoke, then that burden becomes light because he sustains us. Remember in Job chapter 1, verse 20? Job's response to the trial in verse 21 is this: naked came I out of my mother's womb, naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, the Lord hath taken away. What? Blessed be the name of the Lord. He can do whatever he wants to me. Do you trust God that much?